Hey everyone, welcome to Template Titans, the show where we dive deep into the world of Notion templates and the creators behind them. I'm your host, Nick Lafferty, and in each episode, we sit down with talented Notion template creators to discuss their journey, insights, and tips for success. Today's guest is Atul, the biggest Notion creator from India. He sold over $10,000 of Notion templates and helps creators streamline their workflows with Notion. He had a great Twitter thread recently about how to price your Notion templates correctly that I personally found really valuable. Atul has a ton of knowledge about growing on Twitter, where he has over 10,000 followers, and so I'm really excited to talk to him today. Let's get into it. Hey Atul, it's great to have you on the show today. Can you please introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of your experience with Notion?
I'm Atul Anand. I'm 16, and recently, I have pivoted towards creating Notion systems for creators, entrepreneurs, and creative businesses. This is my first time on a podcast, so don't judge me. I started Notion as a student over 3 years ago, from Al's video where he talked about using toggles for space reputation study. That's where I started, and over after just a year later, I made my first dollar ever. I've never earned before that. This is my kind of the first business that I ever created, and it was from selling a free template, and I still remember that moment. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's funny. I remember the first money I made online. I was publishing blog posts to this website called Medium,
Mm-hmm.
and I was writing and writing, and I got my first check for like $2 or $5. I was stoked. I was so excited. Like the dollar amount, it didn't matter to me. It mattered that like I made money doing something on the internet, and someone paid me for it. So that's amazing. I love that you got introduced to Notion from Ali Abdal. His content is really good. And so I know I mentioned that you just crossed $10,000 in Notion template sales. Can you kind of like walk through how you got there and some of like the milestones you hit along the way to get to 10,000?
$10,000 per month is something that I recently hit, and when I started for the first 4 months when I started, and I started on January 1st of 2 years back, around 2021, I guess. So I started with no experience with on Twitter, and I didn't know even what the thread was. I just signed up, and for the first 4 months, I for the last 4 months, I got 20 followers by the end of 4 months. I had no knowledge about it. I was doing a little bit of programming. I didn't know there was an earning stream of income that you could earn from Notion. But then, after 4 months, I found out a bit some free creators like Mary Paulin or Eslo. Eslo was pretty small then.
Yeah.
He was at 300, 400 followers,
Wow.
and the growth that I have seen him do is pretty crazy. I started with just building some few free templates, and then moved towards a paid template. I would imagine for the next 4 months, that's when I hit my first $1,000. And that's when the first time I realized that that's you could make some money here. And I live in India, so the conversion over here is really big. Yeah. So this really excited me, and that was the first time when I bought something from my own money, which is a MacBook. And before that, I had really sucked up the desktop, which could switch off anytime. You would have written a really long thread and would just switch off at that point, and you would missed everything. That's when I started taking this a little bit more seriously, and thought that I could actually learn a lot from this. And even not earning, but for the next year, I would say probably I made another $10,000. That's when I actually start believing that this could be a business where I started making strategies where I could actually make money out of this, which is a proper money. And that's when I paid my first taxes. So yeah. So that's when the real shit hits. But after that, the growth went pretty good, pretty crazy. After the I guess the first and the 1.5 year, that's when I really started making a ton of money out of Notion templates, and hit. Right now, the total revenue that I've generated is probably around 25K out
Okay.
of Notion.
Wow.
And then after that, I kind of like slowed down because I understood that the value that I'm providing is like pretty varied, and growing out of this is going to be really difficult when I'm creating content on like all separate bases, because the templates that I was creating were in all fields. It was a little bit of habit tracking, it was a little bit of life management, it was a little bit of finances, and a little bit of content creation. And the path that I was really excited about was content creation. And I understood that instead of creating like a next Notion template out of just something that is in my mind, whatever the experience that I've got, I think the best way I could do it is like actually creating systems for a lot of creators that have already bought my content creation hub. It's one of the most popular templates of mine, and I created that when I had like 300 followers. So like from there to when I got like I through that singular template, I have earned like $15,000, and that I created in when I was like at 300 followers and for like at 15. So I think the next step for me was to really understand how this whole content creation market works and how every creator out there works. So that's when I kind of stopped like marketing my own Notion templates and started working with other people outside of my own Notion content creation. I started like whoever the trick that I did is that whoever that has bought my own like content creation hub template, I just reached out to them manually. I had like 400 people who had that template by that time. So I'd reach out to everyone. And the best thing about content creators is that if you have the audacity to buy like a $70 template for your own content creation, there's a really good chance that you have a whole content creators community. Like I have one where I would be talking to at least 10 Notion creators, if not Notion creators, but the general creators who I'm always learning from different tricks, different things out of them. So I would just go ask them that I could, how did they find the template, and what like different different creators that they are with, and like I started like working with them to building a really good system for not just them but for their own like business, that the creator business that they are in, their teams, and like overall different creators, and collected the actual ideas that would work. And that's when I started that's where I am right now. Yeah, so that's kind of
Okay.
it, like on the journey of me like creating Notion templates.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And so you started out very new to Notion. You didn't know a whole lot. You got on Twitter. You didn't know a whole lot about Twitter, and so your strategy was more of just like learning and understanding how you can be more like just like under like upping your knowledge for all of these tools and systems. And then you built some templates. They did really well. You made some more templates. They also did well. And then you got to a point where instead of building more and more templates, you reached out to the people that have bought some of your high dollar templates and said, hey, can I help you improve the systems you use to run your creator business? And so then you kind of moved into more of like consulting and advising creators. Is that like a fair kind of like a fair summary of your path so far?
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you reached out to these creators and you were like, hey, I want to help you build a system for content creation, based on the Notion template, did you immediately say, hey, I charge this amount? Or like, how did you go into pricing and figuring out how much to charge those people? And how did those conversations go?
You know what? When I started, like I'm still young. I don't really know how to price my stuff back then. It was like 5 months ago, and I had no knowledge. I have seen creators charge like 2-3 thousand, and back then it was like really crazy amount for me. So what I did is that instead of even asking them a single dollar, what I did is that like for the starting conversation, what I would do is that I would say them that I would pay you like I just have a 15-minute call with me and talk about the experience of using this content creation hub. And if I take more than like 15 minutes, I would pay you $10 per minute that I take from you. Like it's kind of my way to respect their time as creators, like, and we all want the others to respect our time, because that's the only thing that we have constant, right? So that's when I started having conversation with people, and I then probably I started when I got into, like, for the first 10, I would say 10 people, understood that I could really build templates for them or workspaces for them. And that's when I started charging people. I started pretty low at like 300 $400 per client, and it took me like 3 to 4 weeks. But then I started upgrading, and right now it's like I could charge you around like from $750 to like 3,000 to $5,000, and I would build the whole template within a week. Like, I started respecting time more than ever, and like that's when the actual growth I was able to see, right? So that's where the whole thing started.
Okay. No, that's amazing. And so you're at this point now where have you worked with pretty much everyone who's bought your template so far, and now you're trying to outreach and find other people who haven't bought your template, and you're pitching them on your, hey, I can build you this custom content creation kind of workspace?
Yeah, although there's still a combination of those, because I still get a lot of sales out of this, even like from your own website. So the thing is that I'm like still reaching out to a lot of people. So these are like my own directory of people that I could reach out anytime, and that's what ends up happening. But I also reach out to other creators, and the thing that I recently started maybe like a month ago was like Twitter ghostwriting, where I would reach out to like high ticket clients where who have like a coaching system or really like programs or things like that, who would charge like $5,000 $10,000 per course. And I would like, this is a really good way to help them grow, which is like through Twitter. And what I did to them is that, like, through an like there's a really good book on it which is called like 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy, where I really learned how to craft a really good offer. And what I asked them is that, for example, they have like a $5,000 course, and what I would ask them is that if I could just sell your course to like two people, that would be 100% ROI of, for example, you pay me $5,000, and in the first month I would make you like two times of what you're paying me, and that would like actually start up really big. And like that's when I started earning the real deal out of like this whole consultancy thing, as well as the ghostwriting, right?
Okay, so wow, so you credit a lot of at least how you learned how to pitch and make an offer to these people who have these high value, high dollar courses to a book. And it was called, what was it called again?
It's called $100 Million Offers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by Alex Hormozy. It's a really good book. I would totally recommend it.
Okay, and so now you're in more doing Twitter ghostwriting for people that have those types of courses, and it sounds like that income is far eclipsing anything that you're kind of doing on the, at least on the Notion template creation side. And so
Yeah,
it's really
actually.
interesting kind of pivot or like growth inflection point for other template creators is you kind of realize that at least like growing your income more isn't based on making more and more templates. Is you got to a certain point and you say, okay, now I need to up my offer. I need to figure out how to extract more value or add more value to the people that you work with. And so you started
Mhm.
consulting with people to make them kind of custom content creation templates, and then you pivoted way into Twitter ghostwriting for people who, if you can help them make one or two sales, it more than pays for the amount of your time that you're putting in, which is
Mhm.
incredible. So for Twitter ghostwriting, what is the amount of time you spend doing that for each client?
I would say it totally depends upon the client, and like whatever I do personally is very much related to how much I can learn from something. And like working with different clients, try to choose only those clients where not only I could earn a good deal, but also I could learn a lot from them. So yeah, what was your question, by the way?
It was my question was more about like how much time do you spend
Mhm.
on each
Yeah,
on each client?
it's usually 4 to 5 hours per week. I would
Okay.
create like content for next 2 weeks, and usually we would have a marketing strategy and then an engagement strategy, where you would try to reach out to the right people, as well as on the marketing side, you would try to reach out to the, like, you would generate more leads towards the people who are actually interested in your product, which I actually really see that something that I have done mistake in the past, as well as what I see a lot of people do right now, which is they are reaching out to audiences which really don't worth a lot for them and the actual thing that they're selling. Like for me, what happened to me is that, like, I had almost created an email list of over 20,000 people over the past 2 years, and those were people that probably got in from like some like from my template sales or different giveaways and all that stuff. So but what ended up happening is that most of my Notion templates that were free ended up in the life management section, but all the paid template that I actually created and were like content creation based. So for a person coming from buying a free life management template to buying like a $70 content creation template is basically nonsense. He would not really be interested into it. So I was kind of wasting my time like building an audience even on email marketing, through email marketing. So I think that's something that a lot of people should consider. Yeah, like that's something that I have been doing. And there's some people that I work with. Actually, I cannot say a lot about their journeys and what I have done for them. But what ends up happening is that, like, even some Notion creators that I work with, they end up just reaching out to like the Notion community who is not that far reached into the specificity that they want to go into in just a single field. Like the last podcast that he did with Milo, he wanted to be like, he was really interested into reaching out to teachers and build Notion templates for teachers. But instead of like at least at the beginning, instead of reaching out to actual teachers who would like to take their system and build that into Notion, because like whatever I have talked to a lot of creators, I have understood that most of them have like a really sloppy system, and they are like ready to change anytime you would ask them to. So once you start reaching out to the right audience and not the general audience that everyone is reaching out to, you would actually start seeing actual sales for people. And like, just to give you like a social proof out of like one of the people that I work with, even though I cannot share you the actualities of it. So for example, like a Notion template created for like one specificity around one topic. And if he or she is just reaching out to the whole Notion community, then they are just expecting people to be a little bit interested into that segment, even though those topics could be useful for all of us. Because like, for example, like I'm into content creation, that there's a very big market for even for the Notion creators that could use my templates. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to build is Notion templates for like bigger creator businesses, and I would probably charge them like a $900 per template. Like a small Notion creator who doesn't really know kind of need those features would really not need it. So at the end of the day, you need to find the right people and then utilize those to generate your actual revenue.
Yeah, no, it really is all about matching the products that you're selling and finding the audience who will find that most valuable. And then that's where you can charge more for it. And that's also where you'll get a higher conversion rate and just more total sales. And I've experienced the same thing on the email marketing side. So I've given away probably like I have like 10,000 over 10,000 sales, like free downloads of Notion templates across all these varying topics. And I've tried to find ways to upsell them to use email marketing to kind of move them into a flow that will get them to purchase a template. And it's been challenging because they come in from like a journaling template or a habit tracking template or whatever, and like finding a way to upsell them into a template that costs money so I can make revenue out of that has been challenging. It sounds like you kind of went down the same path of, you found out that the people that downloaded your free templates weren't always interested in your like high dollar premium templates, because the content creators are a much smaller subset of people that would be interested in any of your like free habit tracker templates as well.
Yeah, definitely. I have like, that's the pain that I have gone through. You understand it? Because like I've spent over $1,000 to earn less than 10% of it through email marketing. And like, it really sucks because like at first I thought that I would probably, as you told, like create flows and sequences for each division, that and end up having like a really good proper system for like if there's the guy that is interested in life management, that it would go into a nurture sequence, then would go into like buying up a life management template that is worth a lot, that is actually worth something, then like for that then for like finance, then for content creation. But what end up happening is that it would become really confusing, not just for me but for people that are joining in as again and again. And at the end of the day the flow becomes really confusing and ends up not working as well. And as a solo creator, and even if like I at the end of me giving up, I also like hired an email marketer, and that didn't work.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah.
Okay, so
So
you went hard on email. Like, oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna build all these flows. I'm gonna hire an expert to do it, and then ultimately you found out that the audience you built isn't the right audience to
Mhm.
consume or to purchase and get value from your
Yeah,
paid products.
definitely. That's where like I'm kind of really pivoting towards the defining the actual audience for me as well, because I started with no experience in literally anything. Like whatever I'm doing today, 2 years back, I had no knowledge. So like even marketing stuff, like who to actually market, who knows, right? At back then, like literally, I would reach out to everyone and ask them if they're interested into my stuff or not. So pivoting towards the finding the right people for me is actually really good. And maybe in the next 2 to 3 months, I would probably give you a good number of how many sales I actually made from email marketing,
Yeah.
because I still think that email marketing could actually be a game changer for any Notion business that is ever created.
Yeah. And so for if there's a new or upcoming Notion creator, would you tell them to focus on a specific niche and not to chase the trends of like, oh, I need to build a habit tracker or a second brain or whatever, but kind of build templates in a specific niche and then use the free templates to eventually build an audience of people that could buy
Mhm.
a similar, more premium version of the same type of template?
Mhm. Yeah, I would definitely say to 99% of people who should actually do that if they are good at anything, whether it's finance, whether it's content creation, whether it's like as specific as it could get. And like I'm a much very much a reader. So if you go into like books of Seth Godin, that he really talks about like finding the smallest viable market for anything that you want to start with, right? So you start with finding the smallest viable market. Maybe if you started some from at some time like what when Eslo did or Notion Way did, right? That's when there was like so less templates out there. Like even when I started, like the habit tracker and like templates that I have right now were got successful just because like even my finance tracker, like it's nothing like out of the blue that no one has ever seen. It has some features that I could like say that that's original for me, but like overall those are templates that could be created by anyone. So if you at least at this position, if you're trying to get started with like actual starting a Notion business, then I would totally recommend to go into one specific genre. Like for example, for me, it's content Notion templates for content creators. You could go into any direction.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important. My first guest on this show was the accountant guy, and he's
Mhm.
a actual accountant who then now makes Notion templates for finance and budgeting. And he started off making kind of free or like more like lower priced templates, and then he just released an entire bookkeeping system in
Mhm.
Notion that's a more premium product. And I think he's doing it really well. As he's using his experience. He's saying, hey, I'm an accountant. I know exactly how this works. I'm not just some random person building a budgeting template. Like, I know exactly
Exactly.
how this works. I'm using my expertise. He built his kind of funnel and audience of free template downloads in the beginning, and then now he's upselling them to his entire bookkeeping system. And I think that is the future of Notion template creators, is a bunch of specialists making templates of all in their niche with their specialized knowledge, and not just a bunch of people making all different types of habit trackers or
Yeah,
journaling templates or whatever. And so I
exactly.
think I think that's the future of it.
Hmm. Yeah, actually, I recently talked to the accountant guy, and his growth was actually really crazy because he started like in December, and for the first 2 months, it was like $30 in sale. That's then the next month was like $40 in sale, and the third month was like 1,000 in sales, right?
Yeah.
So when he actually started converting into the like proper specific templates in his own niche. And like a really good tip that I would give to Notion creators who are like really fearful that if their templates are going to really work in the wide audience, because at first, like when you're like 100 followers, it's really hard to find that specific audience. If like for example, like the accountant guy, for finding a audience that like for like related to account who's interested into finances, I think the best way you could reach out to that audience is to put your template into the Notion template gallery. It those at that there it almost those websites almost get like 1 million views per month. And if your templates are like even a slightest connected to something that, for example, a business could use, or even like in the smallest ways, right? In the most specific ways, then it would definitely, a lot of people would start using it. And what you could do from there is what I did is reach out to those people and find out communities from those people. Like what communities are they in? How did they get to your template? What other places they search for first, where like, and then got to your template. So
Yeah.
then you
And,
can get a
and so
lot of
you're,
value from there.
yeah, so you're reaching out to a lot of people that purchase your templates and asking them questions like, how'd you find
Yeah.
this? What communities are you in? All of that stuff. Do you have like a standard script or email you send them, or is it just kind of like one off every time?
Yeah, no, actually, as I told you, it's kind of like you give me a 15 minutes. I take, if I even take like 1 minute, like more than 15 minutes, I would pay you like $10 per minute, right?
Okay, so
And I
it's
never
still
took
that
more
same
than
pitch.
one, yeah, and I never take more than 15 minutes. You have damn specific questions, 4 or 5, and you just ask them. They like, and once you like, they know that you're valuing their time, then they would like be in your contact for like forever. And that's when like they would also start like asking you, that's when like, because like I've seen a lot of Notion creators, and that's what I'm saying, that's totally fine. But like reaching out to people definitely takes more time, right? But once you start reaching out, you start actually seeing actual referrals to, when they not only just put your templates on different websites, but they actually start sharing it to their communities, their friends, and stuff like that, right? And that's when you actually start uh, not only just sales, but you could also get into the market of Notion consultancy, or even like growth marketing.
Yeah, it positions you as a person too, and you're
Mhm.
building a relationship. It goes beyond the transaction of this person bought your template and that's it. But the moment you reach out and you talk to them and they say yes, they hop on a call. One, it builds this like amazing relationship that helps them relate to you on a personal level and not just a business transactional level. And then that
Exactly.
unlocks the other stuff you were talking about of
Yeah.
like referral sales, anything like that, and opens the door to future conversations.
Mhm.
And I think that's it's you're right. It's hard to go out and manually take the time to talk to these people and pull their insights and also be respectful of their time, which I think is amazing that you do that 15-minute kind of time box exercise of if we go over, I'll literally pay you, which I think is amazing. I've never heard of that before, so that's incredible. But sometimes you have to do things that don't scale in the
Mhm.
beginning to kind of get an edge, because it's competitive. There's a ton of Notion creators out there now all trying to do the same thing, and so the more you can stand out either by reaching out and having a more personal conversation or doing kind of other tactics that specialize into your niche, I think is really how you start to become successful too.
Exactly.
All right. So we talked about some of the advice you have for others who are interested in creating kind of like their own Notion templates. And so I want to talk about Twitter. You have grown a lot on Twitter, and you talked about how when you started you knew nothing, and now you're well over 10,000 followers. And so what's your basic advice for people who are looking to grow on Twitter from a content perspective? Like what content should they be making? And then from an engagement perspective of how do you engage with other accounts on Twitter?
Yeah. So I would probably say like there's like super crazy trend going on right now, which I would recommend you to go like halfsies on that, which is like creating giveaways. If I could actually say you the right numbers, because I've seen creators grow from like zero to a thou for their first 1,000 followers within like the first month by just doing giveaways. Although what I would say is that I would not totally recommend though that, because like I would totally recommend people to at least spend their first month understanding and finding the right audience and engaging with those before you start actually doing all the giveaways, all kinds of giveaways. Because right now, if you just start with giveaways, first of all, like Twitter is going to flag you and like stop you from growing really big. But also, you're just finding freeloaders who are just trying to get your templates for free. And at the end of the day, they don't really value you as a creator, but they just value that I could get a single template out of this guy for free. So I would say engage properly with people. And what I mean by properly engaging with people is that, like, here are some pointers that I would use, is that every time you, like, 90% of the conversations that you have, ask questions in form of value, in form of learning, in form of anything, but ask questions 90% of the time. And like the 10% provide value. Don't really worry about like giving them a congrats or all that stuff. It's like it's good to do that, but it's not really gonna increase your, and neither it's not gonna increase your followers, nor it's gonna increase the actual networking that you're doing. Like ask the right questions from people, and that's when you like form a really good community. So and next time whenever you tweet, Twitter knows that these people are actually interested in talking to you because they probably replied to your questions, and they would like Twitter would start showing them your account. And then you like schedule that I would probably give to most people is that once you're out of that 100 followers zone, but tweet 3 times a day, tweet 2 threads per week, and do like 2 giveaways per week. You're gonna grow like nothing. You're gonna go really crazy on Twitter,
Okay,
right?
so when you say ask questions, you mean like respond to other people's tweets and ask them questions about whatever they're
Exactly,
talking about?
exactly. Yeah, in a way that like you're trying to understand what they are talking about. This way, not you only you learn, but you find those people like and ask questions from people that are in your community and the people that you wanna at the end of the day get into your like as your followers, right? And because like if you reach out to the like when you reply to your accounts, what you should do is that like what I used to do when I began with Twitter and when I seriously wanted to grow is I used to like find 10 people that are at the stars of that particular field, and I would like open the notifications for every tweet they send, and every time they send a tweet, ask them a question, right? Ask them like reply something valuable, right? And that's when you start to actually see those people who are replying to their tweets come to your account and start engaging with yours, and you start definitely you will start seeing the growth that you ever wanted. Yeah, and that's when you
Okay.
actually start to see growth.
Okay, so you start engaging with other accounts, especially if you're new and kind of sub 100 followers, and then from there, can you continue asking questions,
Yeah,
post on
I
your
ask
own
questions.
account a couple, yeah. And I think what's great about that is like you're always learning, and then you can take those
Yeah.
learnings and use it to build templates or business ideas or respond to other people on Twitter. Like there's no downside to having more knowledge and to learning things.
Yeah, definitely. I still ask questions as many as I could. Like it's every time whenever I start engaging, it's usually I ask more questions than I would probably try to give value. And I rarely do like the congrats because it doesn't actually really provide any value.
Yeah. What do you think about tweets that talk about like their recent follower milestones or like revenue milestones? Like, do you think those tweets are of value? So someone's saying like, "Oh, I just crossed 1,000 followers. Thank you." Blah blah blah. Like, what do you think about those?
I would definitely say like that's something I have done, and I'm happy that I did that, because like sharing your journey and like something that I would actually say like two of my templates, the Smart Finance Tracker as well as the Content Creation Hub, were the ones that I created in public, right? And those are the only templates that have grown like nothing. Like one has made me over 15,000, and another one is like at like $7,000-8,000, right? They all started with me sharing every part of me, like building those templates. And like sharing a journey connects with people. Like for example, when I see, for example, creators like Eslo or Notion Way sharing their milestones of reaching like 250 grand in this the first quarter, like it inspires me. It does not like for most, I see that happening on Instagram, and I see a lot of people getting like very scared or like very anxious about them not growing. But for me, it's always very inspiring to see people grow. And the best part of it is then that I could just do the same trick that I used to that I do with like 15-minute call at like $10 after I like if I cross 15 minutes and I just talk to them. I understand how they get there, and you learn a lot from them. And when you start sharing milestones, you also like find yourself in a position where a lot of people, even like you, if you don't know anything about me of like whatever I have achieved, there's a really not a good chance where you're finding someone like me out of nothing. You know that I'm providing some value. You like even like if you don't know how much followers I had or whatever, like no, if not you, then like anyone that is like a big person, like it's kind of validating. So whatever this creator is kind of teaching me, he has kind of achieved that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing to have.
Okay, I think your mindset there is really important because there's almost two responses to at least two like mental responses when you see someone tweeting about this like massive revenue milestone, like, oh, I just hit a $20,000 month, or I did $250,000 in the first quarter. I think there's two responses, and one is jealousy of like, why, I can't believe you did this, why can't I do this, like, and kind of like negative spiral. And then there's the other response, which is your response, and it's the response of positivity and motivation, and you use that to further drive yourself to keep going. And I think those are, it's like a subtle mental shift, but it's really important if you recognize yourself having negative thoughts like that. All it takes is just changing your approach and how you respond to those things and saying, hey, this person did it, why can't I do it too? And so now let me go figure out how to do it. That's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way to go for like it literally any achievement that you see other people have. Right? Because like having jealousy of any kind, like just destroys you from your side. Like the other person who is making the like a quarter of million doesn't care what you think for or think of him, right?
Yeah,
You're just messing up yourself on that.
exactly. Okay, and so from now, like, will you be making any more Notion templates, or are you focused more on your consultancy and kind of Twitter growth side?
Yeah, honestly, this was like a whole experiment for me of like doing the consultancy thing as well as the to Twitter growth. I'm probably gonna be doing this for like enough to understand like from, as I said, everything is learning for me right now. And like as a 16-year-old, I don't even get the money that I make, so I don't really care about the money. So
Wait, hang on. So wait, you don't, who gets the money then? Is it your parents?
yeah, it's my parents.
What?
Yeah, I don't
That's
really
crazy.
care. Well, they pay for everything that I ask for.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as a like 16-year-old, I don't really want to care about the money. Like, and that's my like honest thought. I don't like feel bad for getting like giving all the money that I earn to my parents. Like, and that's an kind of an Indian thing as well. I don't really even like at like what I've understood about the American culture. It's usually that once you start earning, you start kind of keep your own money and you try to use your own money to build things. I usually like my father is an accountant, so he's really good with money. So like all the lessons that I've learned around money, and like if I like the amount that I earn right now is ungodly. If I want to do anything, I would probably do anything that I could do with my money. And the only reason that I have like tried to sustain it, I don't have any purchases that I make after this MacBook, which changed my life. After that, I really don't ever made like a big purchase like that. So I just end up spending my earnings for like gears and like softwares. But other than that, I'm kind of also saving all the money for like uni and stuff, because like I don't really come from a family of money. So yeah, so this is like money part is I don't really care about a lot. So what I want to do with this whole ghostwriting and consultancy thing is to earn a lot of knowledge out of it, and then convert those into Notion templates. And I think in the near future, even like in the next 2 weeks, you're gonna see a lot of things getting started from my end related to content creation and whatever knowledge I've gained. So that's where I want to convert this all my knowledge into Notion templates, into systems, which end up actually helping a lot of people more than like at whatever price I price my workspaces at. It would be less than any like a lot lesser than that, and a lot of creators would be able to actually access those templates, and like that's better than anything for me. And then also I'm really interested into programming, and that's where I want to switch from maybe in the next 2 or 3 months. You're gonna probably see me just to stop, like probably give this whole marketing side of this business to some agency or something that who could still run this business, while I just create a really good Notion templates for you guys, while I work on building different SaaS, learning a lot of programming and that all.
Okay. And so your plan is to turn the knowledge you have of how you started reaching out to doing like Twitter ghostwriting and the other Notion consultancy into their own individual Notion products or templates, and then selling those. So selling the knowledge of saying, hey, here's how you can go and start your own, Twitter ghostwriting company.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way that I want to go.
Okay. Well, perfect. So I want to do that too. So can I ask you a couple of questions of like
Yeah.
very specific things? Okay. So a lot of my specialty is affiliate marketing. And so I make more money selling other people's templates than I do selling my own templates. And one, it's very strategic is because my expertise, my entire career is based on SEO and affiliate marketing. So I just know that really well. And from a time efficiency standpoint, my time is better spent writing on my blog, figuring out how to make my pages rank better instead of making Notion templates. Making a Notion template takes me a long time, and my time is better spent on my website. So what I want to do is make a product that is all about how you become a Notion template affiliate that packages up everything I've learned working with creators like you and literally 20, 30, 40 other Notion template creators to help sell their templates. And so I guess what is your advice for me specifically, like how I could package up that information? And is it videos? Is it just a bunch of like pages in a Notion doc that walks you through step by step how to do it? Like what would your approach to that be?
I would say it's definitely like building up when it comes to building the product. I think your approach should be what you could express your values the best way. Like for me, I'm the most introverted guy you would probably see if you were talking to me like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So the video would not be the best option for me. But what I see you doing is you are really interested into reaching out people, understanding them, and you comprehend all those things into like value nuggets very easily, even within this call, right? To understand people. So I would probably say you that you could create videos, maybe like 5 part series explaining them different parts of your affiliate marketing business, and explain them through and how they could actually build their own, right? Instead of like creating like a book, because like first of all video converts well, like better than any text could ever do. And if you're actually really good at it, I think video is a much better platform for you. And then you just find platforms related to, for example, instead of putting all your brains into Twitter, invest your brains into like TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, right? And when it comes to like actual marketing, I would probably suggest you to, if you're doing a lot into getting into Notion, then I would probably suggest you to like put your templates in different marketplaces, and you know this stuff because your blog is one of the top Notion blogs that I've like that anyone would ever come across to, right? So you know the Notion marketplaces, you could put your guides and templates over there, and then you could also market them through the video platforms that you see out there right now.
Okay. Cool. No, that matches a lot of what I was thinking. So I was looking up different video kind of like course providers. I like the big one is Thinkific. And so they do one. I was also looking at Circle, which is more of a community type of product, but that's, I think, definitely the next step for me. And then what I will probably do long term is package up all my learnings from talking to people like you and other Notion template creators and kind of build a hub of like, hey, here's everything I've learned talking to the most successful Notion template creators, and package that up into some kind of template as well to help people kickstart their Notion template journey. And so
Yeah.
it goes back to what you're saying of I'm just getting knowledge. Like I am just learning and being a sponge with all these people that I'm talking with, and then turning that into a product I can sell that will help other people. And then the people that buy that becomes an audience I can market even more stuff to afterwards. And so once you kind of like crack the code a little bit, like the other ideas and the ways of building other businesses to me just kind of comes from there once you start doing it.
I hear
Okay.
you. That's the way to go, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So before we pushed recording, you said you wanted to learn more about SEO, and I said wait to ask me until we start recording, and so you can ask me questions, and we can record it and put it on Twitter and social media. And so one SEO tip I'll share, and then I would love for you to ask me like any like high level SEO questions you have. Is the Notion template gallery is right now a secretly untapped SEO resource. And what I mean by that is when you try to add your template to the Notion template gallery, most people would give them a Gumroad link. And so Notion links directly to Gumroad. And from an SEO perspective, links have value. Links are a way of Google understanding what websites have authority in a given space. And Notion is a very popular website. It has what's called a high domain authority in SEO land. It means they're a very authoritative website, which makes sense. Notion is a massive, gigantic product. And so my tip is if you have a website, it's better to have Notion linked to your personal or your company's website than Gumroad, because the link from Notion to your website will provide value and help you rank better. It won't be instant. It won't happen overnight. But if you start submitting 1, 5, 10 templates to Notion and they link to your personal website, it'll help improve your own domain authority. And so that's what I'm doing. But most people send links to Lemon Squeezy or to Gumroad or whatever. And the real secret is to link to your own website as well from the Notion template gallery. So that's kind of like what I'm doing right now with a lot of my templates. If I want to improve my authority, I'm getting links from Notion and other places too.
Yeah. Like for me, there are two directions that I want to go. Like I've seen like two directions with blogs, and like right now I have a website which gets not that kind of viewing that I would want it to. Like whatever you would probably get from like a Notion website, or Notion is crazy, but like even from like what you would get compared to like when you have like a blog, compared to having just like a website where you are linking that stuff and then people are clicking from either your Twitter or your email services and stuff like that, but also ranking up on ranking up on Google. That's where I want to go. And I think probably blog is the best way to actually achieve that, because anyhow, like if I create like a website just for my own products, it would end up happening just like a limited people would only come in to a website until and unless I would like have a very big audience, then would like probably Google start ranking me much higher. I've seen that happening for like Thomas Frank website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because he has just his own templates, but his audience is so big that like Google also starts recommending his website, right? So there are two directions you could usually go with blog using Notion, and these are like the most general ones, right? Which is like you talk about resources, so which means like different Notion templates for people, which I see you do. And the other one is what I see Red Gregory do, is create really compile a lot of Notion related tips and like create a really compressive blog from there, right? And I think for me a better option, because I don't want to seriously go into blogging, would be much into what you did, is create a resource blog. But I still have doubts whether this would just become something that like a very common thing with that everyone is doing and I'm just a part of it,
Yeah.
or I could do actually something special out of it, right? So that's one of the things that I'm asking you, like maybe SEO wise, or like, because like SEO, what I've understood from Google, like understanding the SEO part of Google, is that they usually support and rank websites higher that have unique content, right?
Hmm.
Instead of just having the same list of templates or like the same list of resources that everyone is creating.
Yep.
So like, how do I rank from like building a resource or something like that?
Yeah. And so there's a couple of different ways to go about it. And so the first thing is that Google looks for what's called topical authority. They look at your website and they try and understand how authoritative are you on this topic. And the way that they judge that is the amount of content you have, the quality of the content you have, the uniqueness of content you have, and also what kind of links your website is getting from other places. And so if you're getting a lot of links from Notion and you have a lot of Notion content on your website, then that helps Google understand that, hey, you're authoritative in the Notion space.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think your summary of the two approaches is right. There's the like listicle resource approach, and then there's the like how to technical, like how to use Notion approach, which Thomas Frank has like the most comprehensive like knowledge base of how to use Notion, which is that's part of why he's ranking really well in Google too. And so my advice for you, if you want to do resources, is find a unique angle, which is the same similar advice to what you gave for Notion creators who want to make their own templates, is like figure out what your unique angle is and apply it. So if you're building a list of, like life templates or accounting templates or whatever, like don't just put a bunch of random templates on there. Curate the list and rank them and give them, like, go through and build your own kind of like ranking system of like, hey, here's how I determine if this template is good or not based on your experience, selling $25,000 of Notion templates and, helping advise other content creators. And so it's not just a random list you found, it's a list that you curated and ranked and provided your own insights on of like, this is why this one is better than the other. And so that's the way I think to stand out of, because your point is exactly right. Like anyone can make a list of templates, but the specific way you curate them and rank them and say why you feel this is ranked higher than this one and why this one is worth $20 and not $50 or whatever, that's the unique angle and your experience that you bring that no one else can. And over time, Google will start to notice that of, hey, this isn't just like copycat content. This is a unique perspective. And there's a good resource I'd recommend to read, and it's Google has put out a bunch of guidance for reviews on Google. So if you look up like SEO guidance for like review websites, you'll find actual articles and help docs of Google that say this is what a good review looks like. And this is what a good review doesn't look like. And
Mhm.
what it was meant to do is combat and fight what you're talking about of people would write reviews of like, best productivity tools, best project management tools or whatever. And no one would go and use the tool. They would just go to the website, take screenshots, put them in a review, put the pricing info there and ship it. And that would rank well. And it's not high quality. It's really thin, low value content. And so Google has gotten a lot more strict on people that do reviews, and they have a whole like list of guidance of like what is a good review. And so I'll look it up and send it to you afterwards too, but like that's the place to start, is starting from your unique experience and not just having any other listicle, but
Mhm.
your own perspective of why and why someone else should care and why they should listen to you.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, yeah, this is a really good advice, because I was really confused at this, because I didn't want to because I really want to get that kind of audience out of just Google, where I have to remove the because I want to remove the independence of me just getting my audience from Twitter. So email marketing, blogs, and all that stuff are just to start those. And I believe it's gonna at least take me like 6 months or 1 year to actually get there. But still, it's a great way where I could start. Yeah. Also, another thing that I see a lot of Notion creators do is that once they have like a good audience on Twitter or any social media they own, but and then create like a Notion marketplace, which I see every other creator does right now, which is like once you have like a good audience, just convert those into like buying your other affiliate products. because right now, like Notion template on its own creates a really good amount of content. And like if you don't go in the way of blogs, the other way to go is like creating marketplace. There are like hundreds of templates creating each week, and you could totally set up a marketplace. I want to approach both of these with the same mindset of like first learning those and like implementing either one of those. But I want to take my own twist, and I feel like what I could actually provide value through is end up creating like a Notion template gallery, which is just for like people who are into the creative business. So those would not just be like habit trackers or like life management stuff, which are like the most number of templates come from that site, because like it's like if everyone has like a life, so they're going to create like a life management template, but end up creating a proper list of really good, even the templates that don't rank well right now, but I see a huge potential in those creators, and put those on my website, and that end up have like creating a big community of sorts of people who are actually really visiting my website all the time just to get new resources, new knowledge related to like Notion, along with content creation, right? Because the like for me, the only website I would probably go for marketplaces, sorry, like only marketplaces that I would go would probably be like Notionary or like the Notion template gallery. For blogs, it's going to be like Graffiti or yours website, and it's end up like just sticking to those, and I end up not going to any other website when I'm looking for my stuff. So actually, I think that would be the best way to go. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I so like kind of like that strategy is like people come to you not because you have every template, but because you have the best templates, or
Mhm.
you curate the list of the best creators and you filter out all the noise because there's a ton of templates of every single type. And so at some point it gets to a point of like what is good and what is bad. And so building a marketplace where you purposely don't host everything, you curate and only show the best of the best. And so not everyone can get on there. You have to be really good and get accepted. And you kind of make this like exclusivity kind of angle to it. And then that's the brand that people will come to you for and they'll associate you with. And so I agree. I think that's the right approach. And it's kind of like the
Mhm.
same angle that I was saying for what your blog or your resource list could be, is the value isn't whatever templates you put on there. It's the list itself and how you curate it and how you describe and market the why behind it. So then you build up like knowledge in people's brains the same way that you have these lists of like high quality marketplaces or blogs or
Mhm.
whatever. Then you enter the discussion there of like, oh, you have to go to this website because they will, cut away, the 100 different second brain or like life operating system templates that are out
Mhm.
there and show you only the best ones, and here are the reviews and like exactly why these matter. And so I think that's the future, and that's the way, is that the curated experience, opinionated lists, and not just like a list of every 100 different type of template.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the value I want to derive from this whole under like section of ranking on Google, and that I could probably relate to my own content creation journey as well.
Yeah.
Which, because I see a lot of creators like when I see you like making 60K from just affiliate marketing out of by just sharing resources related to Notion, or I see like Eslo making like different kind of templates in all different directions, but still making $250,000 in the first quarter, right? And like Notion Way and different creators. I think it's very like, at least as of now, it's a very like it's a very like thing where people would very be enticed to just go there and just do the same stuff as you do, and like just copy you, right? And I think the point that I could like make out from this is like copying just the same stuff is if make you grow a little, but it would never make you grow more than the act that what the actual creator is doing,
Right.
right? I could never grow out more than Eslo if I just copy all his stuff, right? The only way to grow is to put my own catch to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the value that I want to take from this.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And that's a great time to end on. Atul, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know we went way over the 15-minute allocation you give to most people when you talk. So thank you. I'm really looking forward to watching your continued journey and as you go beyond Notion templates to other parts and you go to university and continue. You're already on such an amazing path that I just know if you're this successful at your age now, then like the sky is the limit for what you're capable of. So thanks for coming on. Real quick before we leave, where can people find you on the internet, on Twitter, or anywhere else?
The best way to find me is on Twitter, and it's probably next to my name. It's Atul A Clever. You could find me on Twitter, and you could from there you could find me anywhere, right? And I would really thanks Nick for having me on this podcast. This was my first experience in something like this, and this would be not the end. I would be joining a lot of things after this. I want to go crazy in this world and do a lot of stuff because I think the real value in here is not like as a creator even the real value is not just sitting at your home building really cool stuff, but once you like get out of that cocoon and find people that are all doing the same stuff as you do, doing all the creative things, and you find actual value, start learning a lot of things. And I really took a lot of value from this. Even this was that you were interviewing me, I really learned a lot from this. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks for
I hope
tuning
I
in
hope
for
everyone
everyone.
else. Yeah, no, thanks for coming. I'm really glad that it was you learned as much as I did. And yeah, please everyone go follow Atul on Twitter, and he's going to do great things. And so thanks again for coming, and I'm excited to watch you in the future.
Definitely. Have a great day, man.